Welcome everyone, Kyle here, and welcome back to the channel as we continue our Marvel Legends House of X unboxing of the entire series, of course. Brand new for spring 2021. But remember, for all your Marvel Legends needs, make sure you hit up Big Bad Toy Store. Link in the description below. So today, we're going to talk about this Tri-Sentinel Build-A-Figure, but we're also going to put the whole wave in order of my favorite to my least favorite. Talk about it, wrap it all up in a nice little bow, and call it a day. And that's what we're going to do here. But first, let's talk about this Tri-Sentinel. Along with Omega Sentinel, that was in this wave, are the two characters I've never heard of in my life. I'm familiar with the Sentinels, obviously, like the Sentinel we're getting from Hasbro Pulse here in the August, September, October time frame. I know the Sentinels. I know the story of the original Sentinels. I even know the story of Nimrod, who I believe is involved in House of X as well. I am by no means a House of X expert. A lot of X's in there. By no means an expert, but this Tri-Sentinel I am not familiar with. I am not sure if this is a female or male robot, if that is such a thing. I think female, just based on the color and the like slender robot body, but I have absolutely no idea. Basically, this is a review based on the figure itself, not the history of the figure or my knowledge of the figure. And obviously, you guys know how it is. If you guys like a comic book character, even if their figure's maybe a little subpar, you kind of say, hey, I really like the character. I can look past some things. I have no idea on this figure at all. I do know it does fit on a ringside collectible stand. I say it all the time. Spend your money on your figures, not your stands. Ringsidecollectibles.com. Use discount code Kyle, save 10%. But this whole wave fit on ringside collectible stands. There's usually maybe one every once in a while that doesn't. I can tell you this whole wave all fit on stands. So I know some of you guys are always interested in that aspect. So there you go. This Tri-Sentinel is really interesting. So I put this thing together. Luckily, I did not do it on camera because you probably see me throwing things if that was the case. I had to take the old hairdryer trick. I don't like using a hairdryer on my figures, as I've ruined a figure a time or two. Really only one time, but it was the Iron Spider Marvel Legend. If you're familiar, that's a pretty hard to get figure. Unfortunately, the hairdryer melted the plastic a little too much. It's dangerous work dealing with that hairdryer. That's why I always prefer the hot water trick when possible. But to get these heads on, there was no way they were sticking in. They are very thin with the neck on them. They could very easily be broken. So I really strongly recommend you get a hairdryer, put it on low heat, just like 20, 25, 30 seconds tops. Just check it. Keep a close eye on it. You don't want to go too long. You'll melt the plastic. But had to do the ends of each head plus the actual body it plugs into. Had to heat these in because I could not get them in at all. Very, very frustrating trying to get these pieces in here. So that's just a note. If you try to do this on home, or maybe you already have, tell me in the comments. But this one and the Stiltman, the last two have been very difficult Build-A-Figure pieces to get together after a long window of maybe over a year of figures that just clicked right in for me. But this one was a challenge, and I could see somebody breaking one of these heads if they're not careful. That would be the absolute worst. Obviously, one head broken, you're not going to have a two-headed. You'd have to buy another Magneto. Yikes, we don't want that. So be careful putting this Build-A-Figure together. And then I'll go back. When this line was first announced, was it Hasbro Con, maybe October? It was sometime in 2020 we got the announcement of this lineup. I remember them showing this Build-A-Figure. Obviously, I didn't know what it was, but the first thing that drove to my mind was that Spider-Man Build-A-Figure. Was it Dr. Spider or something along them lines? That is what I thought. I said, hey, this is just a repaint of this one is basically what it was. Far from the truth. Totally different figure than this one. I think it's just the gangly robot. You just kind of assume. You know what they say if you assume. I think you guys all know. But I thought it was very similar to this, but they're totally different. Totally different feet, totally different sculpt. Everything is different. They just kind of look similar, but different. But totally different characters, totally different body molds. There's no reuse between these two. So I just wanted to point that out if your brain went the same way mine did when I first saw this. Better than expected, though, on this Build-A-Figure. I really had no hopes for this Build-A-Figure as I don't know the character, so that hurts it a little bit going into it. And I didn't like the gangly, long, skinny arms. I want my Build-A-Figures to be big, beefy characters. That's what I want out of a Build-A-Figure. This is beefy in the chest cavity and the rest, not so much. But it is better than expected. I like the long arms on this one a lot more, and the long legs. It's not as top heavy as I assumed it would be. It's still a little top heavy. You'll have to just maneuver it right just to get to balance, but it's a lot easier than that other Build-A-Figure, the Spider-Man, Dr. Spider, or whatever that thing's called. This is easier to pose and stand than that one was. So that has that going for it. A little easier there. But besides that, the coloring is good. You know, the light purple, the purpleness to it. The heads are okay. I do worry about them falling out of the piece, though. Like I said, I had to fight that with the hairdryer. I like the gangly hands, very claw-esque. It's an okay one, but my problem is I don't understand the character. You do got a waist swivel on this one, which I do find to be kind of cool. You can get in some unique poses, that is for sure. There's no doubt in my mind there. But I don't know what to do with this. Obviously, as a Sentinel, I guess I could put it with Nimrod, my traditional Sentinels, maybe the big Sentinel that's coming here later in the year. Have a Sentinels collection. I just don't know enough about the character, and that's on me. I need to research the character. Maybe I'll grow to like this character. Maybe I'll understand it a lot more. But as far as figures, and I'm just going to grade it on figures, it's okay. Is it the best Build-A-Figure of all time? Oh, as falls right over. Is it the best Build-A-Figure of all time? By no means is it anywhere close. It's probably towards the bottom, I mean, for me. And it's just not knowing the character and just, I don't know, it looks different. It's different than any other Marvel Legends figure we got outside of that last Build-A-Figure we were just talking about. You got 3 heads and all that kind of stuff. So it does have some difference to it, but not enough to me where I'm going to say, oh, this is a slam dunk. I got to have this. This is a must-have in every X-Men collection. You know, we talked about that Charles Xavier in his hover chair. That's a must-have that should be in everybody's collection. Is this? By no means. It's not. So be wary when you're putting this bad boy together, bad girl, whatever it is, bad robot, bad Sentinel. There you go. Be wary of the heads. Be careful. You don't want to snap the neck joint. You want to put a little heat on it. We shouldn't have to do that, but it's what it is. Hopefully I can help somebody not break their toy out there because we spend our hard-earned money. I know if you're like me, you work a lot of hours, hard-earned for this stuff. You don't want to break it out of the package or breaking it. That is for sure. So there's the Tri-Sentinel. Now let's get the whole line out here. Let's put them in order of my favorite to least favorite and wrap this video series up in a nice bow. All right, guys, let's wrap up the House of X with my favorite to least favorite of this very large series, a big 8-figure series. We don't get a lot of them. We're talking Star Wars, we're talking wrestling, we're talking Marvel. Not a lot of big sets like this all the time. So it's kind of cool to get this many figures all in one wave. Very cool. It'd be interesting if we get a second wave of the House of X's. Yet we've not gotten a second wave of Age of Apocalypse, which I hope we get that. As I've said in these video review series, I'm more of an Age of Apocalypse guy than the House of X. It's just the way my age and what I've read and where I've been. So there you go. But let's put these in order, my favorite to least favorite. And number 1, number 2 was very, very difficult for me. But you ask me a week from now, they might flip-flop. But number 1, I'm going Wolverine. Might be a cop-out to some. A lot of people actually probably have that on the opposite side. But this is my vision. This is how I view this set. A lot of people probably have Wolverine back at the end because we've technically had Brown Suit in the past. And Wolverine, a lot of people say with Wolverine and Deadpool, we get too many. We get too many. I agree. I understand how that goes. But Wolverine is my favorite character. I like the Brown Suit Wolverine. And I love the X-Force body. It's always been my favorite body of Wolverine. I'm hoping we get the traditional, yellow and blue Wolverine on that X-Force body. I would love that. I also love the claws on this one. These are my favorite claws from Wolverine. So taking that X-Force figure that I love so much, putting it into this with the brown, one of his most famous costumes, and then the head sculpts. I love both head scans on this Wolverine. I think they are next level. I especially love the gray bearded one. Very, very cool figure. Me being a huge Wolverine fan, I had to put it number 1. But that all being said, number 2, Moira McTaggart, I never would have thought she'd be this high in this lineup. This figure is solid. Just being a 2-in-1, 3-in-1, the customizing possibilities of her, bringing her over as a scientist into some other toy lines and toy displays. I think the whole entire package she gets there, as well as being a classic X-Men not hero villain, but X-Men character in the comic books and the animated series, which a lot of people like me of my age love that animated series. The Moira McTaggart is a solid figure, and that it's strongly in number 2. And you ask me a week from now, I might flip-flop these two. That's how good it is. I do think there'll be a lot of army building to this one as well. So a very, very solid figure on the Moira McTaggart. Moving on to number 3, Magneto. I love Magneto as well. I said it before, it's not his traditional purple and pink outfit, but it's crazy enough to really be cool. I guess that sums it up there. Magneto's a cool character, but just taking such a traditional thing and flipping it on its head and going all white, much like that Doctor Doom we're going to get here later this year. I just think it really works really good. I wish we would have got an alternate head with it. I wish we would have got maybe some glowing purple hands. I think that would have been a nice touch. I might have to dig back into my figure hands and stuff. I know we got a Magneto a ways back that had purple hands that maybe I could switch onto there and see what that looks like. So we might look at that. But very solid, and like I said, Magneto and Moira seem to be the most popular two on the pegs at this early juncture we're at right now in this line. But that would be Magneto at number 3 for me. Number 4, Marvel Girl, and I will say Marvel Girl is the toughest one of the line to stand. She does kind of bend over slowly. Part of that, too, is the lack of articulation from the waist down. That's the worst part of that figure by far. A little disappointing there, but I just love the colors with the hair, the vibrant. Marvel Girl, a classic character I don't have on my shelf. This could be used for this line, of course, or your classic X-Men shelf. So it's a very solid figure. For that reason, I'm putting this one up all the way up to number 4. Articulation is probably the worst of the line if you're looking into that. But that's where I'm putting her. I'm putting her at number 4. Number 5, Cyclops. I love the head scan on this Cyclops. I think I might use the beam head on this one, though, however. But it's Cyclops. We know Cyclops. It looks like Cyclops. It's just a shade different. But I like it. I have always liked this body mold. Some people don't like the body mold on it. I do like this one. It's good for me. It works for me. It's middle of the road. It's right here in the middle. Cyclops right there at number 5. Number 6, Charles Xavier. I want to like this one more, but it's just a black suit. I mean, there's nothing really to it. The head is really cool, but there's really not a lot to this figure. And this just isn't my Charles Xavier. And it's simple as that. We talked about the hover chair one in the video review of that one. I preferred that hover chair Charles Xavier, which I'm sure most people do. It's cool to get another Charles Xavier figure. I like that they gave us that Easter egg of that other head. I'm not sure that head belongs here. I think it belongs to the hover chair Charles Xavier. But just doesn't do a lot for me. And then, no surprise, probably watching my videos, I have no connection to these two characters. We're going to go to Omega Sentinel next. A cool character. I like that red-faced skin head. The red really does pop against the white on here, so that's kind of cool. The arms being able to switch out is a cool feature, but I just don't have a deep connection to this figure, and sometimes that deep connection helps you like a figure a lot more. Wolverine, for example. If I didn't have a connection to Wolverine, I don't know if he'd be at the top. He probably wouldn't be at the top of the list. It's just the way it goes. Omega Sentinel, and I don't know what to make of this other head. As of right now, I do like this head better. It just limits the articulation big time, though, with this crazy haired head. I mean, it's got to be the biggest hair figure we've ever had in the Marvel Legends line, or a lot of lines for sure. And then the Build-A-Figure tailing up the back end. It's not what I want out of a Build-A-Figure. I don't know the character, so that hinders it as well. The 3 heads were very difficult. That really put into it, too. I hate it when I have to pull the hairdryer out because you're just a second away from things going wrong. It doesn't stand the best. You can get it with a little bit of work. It'll stand with a ringside collectible stand. A little top-heavy, as you can imagine by looking at it. But I just want big figures in my Build-A-Figures. You guys know I say it all the time. That's just not what I'm looking for. So I don't know. Nothing against these two. I'm just not familiar with them. So they don't, not knowing the characters, not knowing their history, they just don't wow me as much as some of the classic guys that I've grown up with and read comic books over the years. So I don't know if you can fault me for that. But, I'll look into it. We'll see. Maybe you ask me a couple months from now. Maybe I'll change my order. But I don't see it. I'm just not a big fan of this Build-A-Figure. But you guys tell me in the comments. We've been on a long journey on this video. You guys put them in order. What would your order be on all these? If you watched all the videos, put them in order. Maybe you own these. Anything you'd change? Am I missing anything? Do you think these two should be better up the list? Just taking things aside, just figure-wise, they just don't add up to these. And I don't know if that's just my bias of knowing and having a long history with these characters. It very well could be. But that's just my thought, and that's one man's opinion. You guys got to tell me yours in the comments. Don't forget to like the video. You've come this far. Might as well get that done. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We got videos every single day. Follow me on Instagram, _Kyle_Peterson. Twitter, @SirPaul64. BelowTheCollar.com. Get your very own See You Later t-shirt. You'd be the most stylish figure hunter in the world if you had that shirt. But that's it. So for the whole House of X-Wave, it'll be interesting to see where this goes. But for Wolverine, Moira McTaggart, Magneto, Marvel Girl, Cyclops, Charles Xavier, Omega Sentinel, and the Tri-Sentinel, I'm Kyle. I'll see you guys all real soon.